Okay. I'm in my favorite studio. Let me slide over this way so you can get a better scene of everything. Also, you guys see that's my mother. That's my mother. That's her high school picture. Okay, listen. Molly asked me what topic we're going to talk about today. And we're going to talk about that topic, which is my new product offering. So you can see how you can work with me and see the new program and see what we do to help people get into the multifamily business the right way and to do it correctly. But before we get started, I'm going to talk about doing it the wrong way. I'm going to name names because I've been given permission to name names. Here's what happened. No joke. 5 minutes. Molly saw this whole thing happen when, back in the studio. She saw me on the phone. I received an email to an email address that I on my other computer I don't even look at. On this computer, it happened to pop up, and I needed Molly to send me over an email. So I was watching this email. This email popped up, and this email, I was like, who is this guy? Why is he sending me this email? This doesn't make any sense. I can't understand why I'm even on his email chain. But I was. And I read the email. My heart broke for the first part. And then I saw the lessons that he learned. And I thought, this guy is learned the hard way what I've been teaching all these years. So I'm thinking, I've got to teach this email today on today's call. And the right thing to do really is to ask permission of this guy. And I'm scrambling for his phone number. I'm looking on the internet. I find one number, nobody answers. I eventually go back to the email, and there's his cell phone number right there, or his landline. I called the landline, and he answers 2 minutes ago. And I said, listen, Josh, I read your email. I don't know how we got connected. I said, do you know my name? He says, you sound kind of familiar. I said, yeah, I know. I'm kind of out there. And I said, listen, I love what you say. I love what you're doing here. I want to read your email in its entirety on my YouTube live call today to start it off. But I don't want to violate any privileges. I don't want to violate any privacy rights. I want to make sure that it's okay. If I could just even read the substance without even mentioning any names, I would do that. And he goes, read it in its entirety, mention every name. Everything is entirely accurate. You have my permission to do that. Thank you so much, Josh. I will absolutely do that. So, as you know, I've been talking a lot on this program about some of the stories, some of the syndicators and the problems that they're having. And, I get a lot of my information from The Real Deal, and how that has been doing a phenomenal job with the reporting of some of these syndication issues that we're seeing as the market tightens up and gets soft in certain markets and hard in others. This story, this email, is actually the result, the painful result of what has been being reported throughout the day. And reported by those two reporters, lovely young ladies on The Real Deal, who have done a fantastic job. I haven't seen this one reported yet, but I'm going to read it to you, and here it goes in its entirety. Here we are. It's kind of long. From Josh Gyrak. Text me if you want me to spell it for you. Dear investors, I got to blow this up because it's one of those things where the print is so low, so small. Dear investors, a few years ago, I invested with Kenny Wolf in an office to residential conversion project in Cleveland called Erie View. It is now called the Bell Apartments. Feel free to Google Kenny Wolf and you will find all sorts of his latest drama. In short, the manager, Kenny Wolf, either directly stole or simply managed at least $6 million. This was the full amount of interest reserves set aside for the lease-up period once construction was complete. This was done almost a year ago, and then he hid this from all of the investors and even his direct partners. Now, since we were unable to pay the interest payments, which started to be due on July 1st, we have officially lost the project, and even though there is still value in it. In short, my family lost $100,000 in this deal, and several of my friends lost their money as well. In total, all of the investors lost $9 million due to his mishandling or stealing of this deal. I ended up being asked to attempt a negotiation with the lender in an attempt to save this deal. But after a month of work, the lender has decided to continue their rights to foreclose. The only potential now is the legal route, but that is at best a Hail Mary. I thought I would send you the email that I sent to all of those investors to allow you to benefit from my expensive lessons. Enjoy. And this is drafted in italics to show that this was actually a totally separate email. And he says, "Dear Erie View friends, to solidify and clarify my lessons from this, I am writing all these down. I hope you also can benefit from them and perhaps add your own. I find it important to make sure that I am taking the correct lessons from a situation. For example, if a child falls on a green carpet and then concludes that all green carpet is dangerous, that is obviously the wrong lesson, versus him concluding that he needs to watch where he is going better. In no particular order. Point number one, I primarily invested in this deal because I had capital gains that I didn't want to pay taxes on. In the future, I will not invest purely for tax reasons. The investment must stand on its own as an investment in line with my goals and principles." I'm going to pause it right here and interject my own personal advice on this. I call this the Willie Nelson School of Investing. Willie Nelson lost his shirt on tax shelter schemes back in the late 80s and 90s. The poor guy had to go back to work to pay off the IRS because the federal government changed its shelters and he lost all that money. That's why I call this the Willie Nelson School. You never want to invest at the Willie Nelson School of Investing. And this is a great first lesson that I think Joel is telling right here. Point number two. I felt uneasy in my gut at the start of this, and I ignored it because I had all the reasons to believe it would succeed. Those reasons included my own real estate experience, as well as my good friend, who was Kenny's accountant, speaking highly of him. Yet I should have listened to my gut more. Point number three. Neither of the GPs in this deal had any actual cash in this deal on the LP side. I will not do another deal in which the GPs do not also have a respectable amount of money into it on the LP side. If they only have their alleged expertise, hard work, and personal guarantee of the mortgage, that is not enough. I need to know that they also consider this a good investment for their money and not just for my money. That increases the likelihood that they will see this investment through. Now, let me talk personally about this situation. Now, you've heard me talk about my Louisville deal, the hotel deal. David and I are going to be rolling out some updates on that very shortly. All the GPs, with one exception, because he's bringing additional value to the table, all the GPs have cash in the deal. In addition, and this is crucial, we are not building in an acquisition fee on this deal. Folks, you have no idea how that screams to everyone that we are committed to this deal. We're in this deal, as opposed to these guys like Kenny Wolf, who have no money on the deal, but I can almost guarantee you that he got a percentage of the purchase price as an acquisition fee. So let's do some math here, okay? And I'm just speculating. But in the past on other deals, the way it would work is I can look at this and I can see that Joel is telling me there's $9 million of investor dollars in this deal. Let me put $9 million into my calculator, okay? Now, assuming that that represents 30% of the total transaction, if I divide that number by 30%, that tells me that this total purchase price was probably close to $30 million. Now, these syndicators, if they are, drives me crazy, but let's assume between 2 and 3%. Let's assume the acquisition fee was 2.5%. That means that if a GP structured a deal that way, and they get a 2.5% acquisition fee, at the closing table, out of that $9 million raise, those GPs would walk away with $750,000 in their pocket through the acquisition fee. Why would they put a dime in? They don't have to. They just have to transact the deal, and they make $750,000. They are not investors. They are brokers. They're brokering a real estate transaction with your money. They're bringing the two of them together, just like a broker, and they're taking their fee off the table and walking away. That is the absolute wrong way to structure deals and to show your investors that you are committed. Point number 3 or 4. Point number 4. This reinforces my commitment to only invest amounts in my first deals with a person or group which are small, and I can sleep at night knowing that if I lose it, I will still be fine. Most syndicators will make exceptions on their minimums to accommodate this in the hope of more investment in the future. This allows for a few years to test out the syndicators and investment strategy before investing a higher amount. I love that. That's absolutely true. You should never invest more than you can lose. And any type of real estate is a risk. That's why you see the bigger returns, but you've got to be grown up about it and expect that if I lose this, will life still go on? Point number 5 or 6, where am I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Point number 5. Spread money out amongst syndicators and prioritize projects that I am in and have actual control of. Great advice. Always not syndicate, always diversify. Diversification is key. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's why when you see, like one of the things that we're going to be doing as we get bigger is to create a fund where we're investing in several hotels at once, and that diversifies the risk. One doesn't do as well as we think, the other ones are going to cover. You're not going to be losing. You're not going to put all your eggs in one basket. So I think that's a great piece of advice. The next thing the next point, 6, 7. I don't know why I can't remember this. I'm so excited. I think it's such a great email. Okay, so I kind of disagree with him. I understand where he's going with this next point. I kind of disagree with it, but I'll explain why. The way a deal should work and a syndicator or GP should work is this. When a deal hits some bumps along the way, these things should be communicated, bingo, and the GPs should be the primary ones, if not the only ones, to put in the money needed to see the deal through. That is what a leader does, and they are the ones who lead the group into that situation in the first place. Real estate in general is the safest investment out there, yet life still happens. When there is debt on the deal, then there are thinner margins and less room for those bumps. The GPs should be financially strong enough and financially committed enough to feed the project as long as is needed to ensure it will succeed and that they don't have to ask for money from the LPs. In this deal, both Blue Lofts, that's the property, and Kenny were either not able to or not willing to put the money in to see this deal through to completion. I have been syndicating apartment deals for over 20 years, and almost all of my deals have hit bumps. All of my deals have hit bumps. That is life. That's such a true statement. Yet I have never had a capital call. I have grown in a strategic way, such as to ensure that I had enough reserves to loan to the deal to see it through. Note, he says loan to the deal. These have all been my family and friends. How could I leave them stranded and just say, tough luck? That should be the mentality, and the contracts and financials should reflect the GP's commitment. Okay, there's a lot in that paragraph to unpack, but let's talk about it here for a moment. First off, these GPs may not have enough resources to cover when things get tough. Things always do get tough. So in that case, what you always want to make sure is when you're looking at the financials of a deal, you have to understand what type of reserves are being set aside by the GP for those tough calls. Okay. And are there pro forma? Is there projections? Are there projections too rosy and that they're never going to make those numbers? And if they fail to make those numbers, then what's going to happen with the project? Like, for instance, if they're projecting a 5% rental increase every single month or every single year on the project, that's too unrealistic. If their basis of their analysis has to do with a value add, with renovating every single unit, are their projections, is their pro forma, their budget realistic with the vacancies that will have to occur and the loss of revenue during that period? And do they have the reserves to cover that? If their revenue continues to go up every single year while they're renovating, that's just not realistic. That's a red flag that should tell you this guy is not a performer, because anyone who's done this before will tell you that's not how it works. The other thing too is what you have to keep in mind is when you do a cash call. Now, in this particular case, Joel in his bullet point says loaning the money to the property. Well, he's not going to do it for free. And the operating agreement always talks about if a member has to loan to the money, what type of interest rate they can get off that deal. But you as an investor should also read into every single operating agreement how the cash calls work, who they can get money from, whether it's a loan or there's a dilution of the membership interest. All of those things are things that you need to take into consideration when you're looking at a particular deal. So I could sit and talk about this particular paragraph for a while, but it's great. I'm so glad he brought it up because this is key. Next point. So many points. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points left to go. It's easier for me to count them down than it is to add up where we were. Going forward, I will be very picky with potential syndicators. And if I am not 110% convinced that they have character, skill, and money aligned with mine, then I will not touch them, even if it means my money just sits in a bank account for a while. I love that because Paul, my buddy Paul, somebody remind me of Paul's name. He's been on my podcast many times. I love him. He's such a great investor. Those things are the types of things that he looks at all the time before he recommends investing with a particular person. Character, skill, money, experience, all those types of things. Next point. This has been very encouraging for me, as sometimes I'm hard on myself for not foreseeing all the bumps I have faced with deals I have done. For some of these deals, I had to loan them money to get them through. Yet it seems that just standing with my deals with my actual money through the bumps is rare. Next point, I believe that one of the reasons Kenny has had trouble is because he grew too fast. Amen to that, because I'll tell you, I remember when I grew too fast, and it's easy to grow when the market's going up, but keeping all the ducks in a row and the balls up in the air is very hard, especially if you've never had to do it before. He was good at raising money and not good at operating a growing business. Oh, let me finish, but I got to come back to that. Perhaps he could be good, but he was unwilling to slow his growth down to focus on getting better as an operator and as a leader. That is a warning sign to me for my business and how I run it, as well as when I watch others. Folks, that is one of the biggest things that I teach my students, is that this is a business. You must run it like a business. If you don't run it like a business, it's going to run you to death. And you can grow and buy and buy and buy, and you want to keep doing that if every time you do it, you walk away from the closing table with a check for $750,000. But that's a broker. That's not an investor. The investor is the one who takes that property from a $30 million property to a $90 million property in 3 years. That's legacy money. That's investor legacy money. But some of these people, they take their chips off the table and go running to the next one. What you have to do is work with somebody that is in it for the long haul, that has a proven track record, that can show you that, hey, I've done this time and time again. This is how my business operates. Those are the people who will make you millionaires. The transactional syndicators will not make you millionaires. Okay. Let me see. He's growing too fast. Now, Joel's very, very faithful guy. So this is next couple parts going to be dealing with his faith, which is very important. I want to make sure we expound upon this. I have found a lot of comfort for leaning on the Bible verses which speak of God turning all things into good for those who love him. I have been praying that he would repay me for what he was stolen, and I will continue to trust that God will come out of it. So far in my life, good has always come out of the pain, even if that good was as simple as an important lesson learned. Hey, I know who said this. I won't repeat his name because I don't think he's a very good person anymore. But success is a lousy teacher. And I have learned more from my failures and mistakes than I have ever from when I succeeded. This is what Joel, I hope Joel comes to this conclusion that this is a great learning lesson. I can tell you from these points that he's brought on, he's figured it out already. And, he just needed a little pain for it to stick. But overall, I can tell you that that this too shall pass. It's only $100,000. Granted, in the aggregate, it's a lot of money. Kenny is going to learn the hard way. It's going to be really tough for him for a couple of years. And then hopefully he too will learn from these mistakes. This has been good practice. Final point. This has been good practice in forgiving, as well as trusting God and not relying on money. This is something I've been actively working to grow in so that I live with more confidence rather than fear. So while this definitely hurt, I am grateful for the opportunity to test what is inside me and have a light shown on it. For me, this is progress. Amen, brother, because that is exactly the way you need to think about this, is how can I grow from this experience? What did I learn? Where is this going to help me in the future on different things? So, gosh, if anybody has any questions, please speak on up. I will discuss more, but listen, I don't want to take too much more time. This actually was a great email. I was going to talk to you about the involvement of my law firm with my students and how we are now finally integrating my legal services with my clients at a time when I think that they're needed now the most, especially when the federal government is reaching into our lives and dictating and making sure that we're crossing all our T's and dotting our I's. I thought, you know what, I'm going to start helping my clients by being their lawyer through the multifamily transactions. And I'm excited to do it. On Thursday, I'm going to roll out my new product line so you can see exactly how you can work with me. You get a flavor for how I operate. And no matter where you are in your multifamily cycle, I've got a place for you because I want to be the guy to help you because I don't want you. I mean, this Kenny Wolf was with Brad Sumrock where everybody was making millions because they all jumped on that bandwagon. And, I've been sitting back teaching the right way to do this business. And I like to keep my students safe. I want to make sure that they are protected every step of the way because they need, to be in this business, you really need this type of protection. And we're going to do that going forward. So that is it. I'm going to be signing off. If anybody has any comments or questions, please feel free. I see, typically on my client, we do group coaching calls, and we always have a lot of questions in the banner. I don't see any over here. Let me just check the private chat, make sure I don't have everything. No, you guys are quiet today. I'd love to get your feedback on that, but hopefully that helps. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you coming on board. This was a great discussion. And if you are in this situation, because this is not the first person that has contacted me regarding Kenny Wolf. I had a very, very good and very dear client. The guy's been a client of mine for probably since 2015. And I had to help him out, just kind of tell him what he can expect through the process. And it was on a different Kenny Wolf property, not the one that we're talking about right here. So everybody have a great day. I'm going to, I think Molly, hold on, Molly. I think Molly is going to let me off. I think Molly's going to let me out early today. Let me just make sure. What day? Tuesday. Today's Tuesday. Just go around. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. Molly's letting me out early so I can go have dinner with my grandson. I'm very happy about that. All right, everybody. Great to have you on board. We'll talk soon. See you on Thursday.